Psychology says most gifted people never realize they're gifted. And this statement, as simple as it sounds, carries a shocking truth. Because giftedness isn't what schools show you. It's not what movies portray. It's not about perfect grades or sky-high IQ scores. Real giftedness often hides in struggles and contradictions and in traits that people mistake for flaws. In fact, the signs of being gifted can feel more like burdens than blessings. And today I'm going to reveal 10 signs that prove you might be gifted without even knowing it. Signs that will make you rethink everything you thought about intelligence. Signs that will validate struggles you've carried for years. And trust me, by the end of this video you'll see yourself in a completely different light. Now here's the shocking part. Studies suggest that gifted individuals often go unrecognized because society has created a narrow definition of what smart looks like. We've been conditioned to believe that giftedness means being the top student, the straight-A achiever, the person everyone applauds. But the truth is far more complex. Giftedness can look like restlessness. It can look like emotional chaos. It can even look like failure. And because of this mismatch between reality and expectation, millions of people walk through life, never understanding why they feel so different, so out of place, so misunderstood. They carry these traits thinking something is wrong with them, when in reality these are the exact signs that their mind works in extraordinary ways. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through 10 psychological signs of giftedness. Signs that researchers and psychologists have identified through years of study. Signs that gifted individuals themselves have reported experiencing. And as we go through each one, I want you to pay close attention, because chances are you'll recognize yourself in more than one of these, maybe even in all of them. And when that happens, I want you to drop a number in the comments. Tell me how many of these signs match your experience, because this isn't just about watching a video. This is about self-discovery. This is about finally understanding why you've always felt the way you do. Let's start with the first sign. And I'm warning you right now, this one is going to hit hard. Because it's something so many people experience but never connect to giftedness. It's something that makes you feel lazy, unfocused, or even broken. But the reality is completely different. Sign number 1 is a restless mind. Now, what does that actually mean? It means you get bored faster than most people around you. Much faster. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack discipline or focus. It's because your brain processes information at a speed that most people simply don't operate at. Think about it this way. When someone explains something to you, you often understand it within the first few seconds. But they keep explaining. They repeat the same point in different ways. And while they're doing that, your mind has already moved 3 steps ahead. It's already exploring the next question, the next possibility, the next challenge. So by the time they finish talking, you're not engaged anymore. You're somewhere else entirely. And people misinterpret this. They think you're distracted. They think you're not paying attention. But the truth is, you paid attention so fast that repetition became unbearable. Your brain craves novelty. It craves complexity. It craves stimulation that matches its speed. And when it doesn't get that, boredom kicks in. Hard. Here's a real-life example. Imagine you're in a meeting at work. Someone is explaining a project. Within 2 minutes, you've grasped the entire concept. You've even thought of 3 ways to improve it. But the meeting goes on for another 30 minutes. Same points, same explanations, same slow pace. And you're sitting there feeling like time has stopped, like you're trapped. That's not lack of interest. That's your gifted brain screaming for something more, something deeper, something challenging enough to keep it engaged. And this happens everywhere, in classes, in conversations, in tasks that others find perfectly satisfying. For you, they feel empty, hollow, like you're going through motions without purpose. Now here's the twist. This restlessness doesn't mean you can't focus. In fact, when something truly interests you, you can focus so intensely that the world disappears. We'll talk about that later. But for now, understand this. If you've spent your life feeling bored in situations where everyone else seems fine, it's not a character flaw. It's a sign your brain operates at a different frequency, a faster one, a more complex one. And that's not something to feel bad about, that's something to recognize and channel properly. Let's move to sign number 2, and this one is deeply emotional. This one separates gifted people from the rest in a way that's both beautiful and painful. Sign number 2 is intense feelings. Gifted people rarely feel anything lightly. When you're happy, it's not just happiness. It's overwhelming joy that makes you feel like you're floating. When you're sad, it's not just sadness. It's a crushing weight that makes everything feel dark. Your emotional volume is always turned up. Always. And while most people experience emotions on a scale of 1 to 10, you experience them on a scale of 1 to 100. Everything is amplified. Everything is vivid. Everything cuts deeper. Now, this emotional intensity makes life harder in many ways. You feel rejection more painfully. You feel disappointment more deeply. You feel frustration more intensely. Small things that others brush off can linger in your mind for days. A critical comment. A failed attempt. A moment of embarrassment. These things don't just pass for you. They echo. They replay. They dig into your thoughts and refuse to let go. And because of this, people often tell you you're too sensitive. They tell you to toughen up, to not take things so seriously, to let go. But here's what they don't understand. You're not choosing to feel this way. Your brain is wired to process emotions at a depth most people never reach. And yes, that makes life more challenging, but it also makes it more meaningful. Think about the last time you experienced something beautiful, a sunset, a piece of music, a moment of connection with someone you love. For most people, it's a nice moment. For you, it's transcendent. It moves you in ways that words can't capture. It fills you with something so powerful that you carry it with you long after the moment passes. That's the gift hidden in your emotional intensity. You don't just live life. You feel life. Deeply, fully, authentically. And while that comes with pain, it also comes with a richness that most people never experience. So if you've ever been told you feel too much, know this. Feeling deeply isn't a weakness. It's one of the clearest signs of a gifted mind. Now let's talk about sign number 3. And this one is ironic. Almost paradoxical, because it's something that happens to some of the smartest people in the world, yet they don't see it as a sign of intelligence. They see it as proof they're not smart enough. Sign number 3 is self-doubt. Strangely, many gifted people constantly question their own intelligence. Constantly. You focus so much on what you don't know that you completely forget how much you actually do know. You see gaps in your knowledge and assume everyone else has filled those gaps. You see your mistakes and assume everyone else avoids making them. You compare yourself to others and somehow always come up short in your own mind. Even when others see brilliance in you, you only see flaws. Only see areas where you're lacking. Only see reasons why you're not as smart as people think. Here's why this happens. Gifted people tend to have high standards for themselves, not because they want to show off, but because their minds naturally see possibilities. Possibilities. They see how things could be better, how they could improve, how they could do more. And when reality doesn't match that internal vision, self-doubt creeps in. You think, if I was really smart, I would have figured this out faster. If I was really talented, I wouldn't struggle with this. If I was really gifted, this would be easy. But here's the truth. The fact that you're questioning yourself is actually a sign of intelligence. Because truly unintelligent people rarely question their abilities. They assume they know everything. They lack the awareness to see their own gaps. But you're hyper-aware. You see every mistake, every weakness, every area where you could improve. And while that awareness creates self-doubt, it's also what drives growth. It's what pushes you to learn more, to do better, to reach higher. So if you've ever felt like everyone else is smarter than you, even when evidence suggests otherwise, you're not alone. This is one of the most common experiences among gifted individuals, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your mind operates at a level where you can see beyond surface-level competence, where you recognize complexity, where you refuse to settle for mediocrity. And that, in itself, is extraordinary. Let's move to sign number 4, and this one will resonate with anyone who's ever lost sleep over a problem. Anyone who's ever replayed a situation in their mind hundreds of times. Anyone who's ever felt obsessed with finding an answer. Sign number 4 is can't let go of problems. When a problem catches your attention, it doesn't just occupy your thoughts for a moment. It takes over. Completely. You turn it over in your head at night. You replay different scenarios. You search for solutions from every possible angle. You can't stop until you find an answer. And even when you do find one, part of you wonders if there's a better solution out there. A more elegant one. A more complete one. This obsessive focus isn't weakness. It's not overthinking in the traditional sense. It's your brain refusing to leave things half-solved. Here's what this looks like in real life. Let's say you're working on a project and you hit a roadblock. Most people would try a few solutions, and if nothing works, they'd move on. They'd accept it as is. Maybe come back to it later. But not you. That roadblock becomes the only thing you can think about. You research. You experiment. You ask questions. You lose track of time because solving it becomes more important than anything else. And people around you might say you're obsessing. They might tell you to let it go, to take a break. But you can't, because your brain won't let you rest until it finds clarity, until it closes the loop, until the problem is solved to a standard that satisfies you. Now here's the powerful part. This trait is what separates problem solvers from people who simply accept problems as they are. This is what drives innovation. This is what leads to breakthroughs. Because while most people give up after the first few attempts, you keep going. You dig deeper. You refuse to accept incomplete answers. And yes, it's exhausting. Yes, it can feel like a curse when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. still thinking about something. But it's also what allows you to achieve things others think are impossible. So if you've ever been told you think too much about things, know this. Your inability to let go of problems is actually one of your greatest strengths. Sign number 5 brings us into the realm of physical experience. Because giftedness isn't just mental. It affects how you experience the world through your senses. Sign number 5 is sensitive senses. Bright lights bother you. Loud noises feel overwhelming. Certain fabrics irritate your skin. Even small details that others completely ignore, you pick up like a radar. Your brain processes sensory information at a heightened level, and while most people can tune out background noise or adjust to harsh lighting, you can't. Your nervous system is wired to notice everything, to process everything, to feel everything more intensely. Now, this sensitivity can feel like a burden. It makes crowded places exhausting. It makes certain environments unbearable. It makes you need quiet time more than others do. People might call you picky. They might say you're too particular. But here's what they don't realize. This sensory sensitivity is actually a sign that your brain is processing information at a level most people don't reach. You're not just seeing a room. You're noticing the flicker of the light, the hum of the air conditioner, the texture of the chair, the temperature of the air. Your brain is taking in 1,000 data points while others take in 10. And yes, that's overwhelming. But it also means you experience the world more vividly than most. Think about the last time you tasted something truly delicious. For most people, it's just good food. For you, it's an experience. You notice every flavor, every texture, every layer of taste. Or think about the last time you were in nature. Most people see trees and sky. You see the way light filters through leaves, the patterns in bark, the subtle shifts in color. This heightened sensory awareness is what makes gifted people exceptional artists, musicians, designers, and creators, because they don't just observe the world, they experience it in full resolution. So if you've always felt like you notice things others miss, like you're more affected by your environment than people around you, it's not a flaw. It's a feature. It's your gifted brain showing you the world in ways most people never see. Now we move to sign number 6. And this one is fascinating because it's where giftedness becomes almost magical. Sign number 6 is spotting hidden patterns. You notice links between things most people miss. Two ideas that seem completely unrelated to others make perfect sense to you. You see connections that aren't obvious. You understand systems in ways that feel intuitive. And while others need step-by-step explanations, you just get it. You see the bigger picture instantly. You understand how pieces fit together without anyone spelling it out for you. This ability to recognize patterns is one of the clearest signs of high-level intelligence, because pattern recognition is the foundation of learning. It's how we make sense of complexity. It's how we predict outcomes. It's how we solve problems creatively. And gifted people do this naturally, without effort, without formal training. Your brain is constantly searching for patterns in everything you encounter, in conversations, in behavior, in data, in the way things work. And when you find those patterns, things that seemed confusing suddenly become clear. Things that seemed impossible suddenly become solvable. Here's an example. Imagine you're learning a new skill. Most people follow a structured path. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. But you skip steps. Not because you're careless, but because you see the underlying structure. You recognize that Step 2 is just a variation of Step 1. That Step 4 connects back to something you learned earlier. You see the pattern, so you don't need every detail explained. You fill in the gaps yourself. And this makes you a fast learner, an innovative thinker, someone who finds solutions others don't see. Because while they're focused on individual pieces, you're seeing the entire puzzle at once. This ability is what drives breakthroughs in science, technology, art, and business. Because innovation isn't about working harder, it's about seeing what others don't see, connecting what others don't connect. And if you've always had this ability to spot patterns, to make connections that seem random to others, but make perfect sense to you, you're operating at a level of intelligence most people never reach. And that's not something to downplay. That's something to recognize and leverage. Let's talk about sign number 7. And this one is painful for a lot of people. Because it's the voice in your head that never lets you rest, never lets you feel satisfied, never lets you believe you've done enough. Sign number 7 is perfectionism. No matter how good your work is, you always feel it could be better. Always. You finish a project and immediately see the flaws. You achieve something and immediately think about what you could have done differently. You receive praise and internally reject it because you know it wasn't perfect. This isn't about showing off. This isn't about wanting external validation. This is about an internal standard that keeps pushing you forward. A standard that most people don't even see. Because your mind doesn't just see what is. It sees what could be. It sees possibilities, improvements, variations. And because of that, nothing ever feels truly finished. Nothing ever feels truly perfect. Now, this perfectionism can be exhausting. It can make you procrastinate because starting feels overwhelming when you know the end result won't match your vision. It can make you burn out because you push yourself harder than anyone else would. It can make you feel like you're never good enough no matter how much you achieve. But here's the other side of it. This perfectionism is also what drives excellence. It's what makes you go the extra mile. It's what makes your work stand out. Because while others stop at good enough, you keep refining. You keep improving, you keep pushing until it's as close to your internal standard as possible. And that's rare. Most people settle. Most people stop when something is acceptable, but you chase an invisible benchmark that only you can see. And while that's hard, it's also what separates good from great. So if you've ever felt frustrated because nothing you do feels perfect, understand this. That frustration is a sign of a gifted mind. A mind that refuses to settle. A mind that sees potential where others see completion. And while you need to learn balance, you also need to recognize that this trait is one of your greatest assets. Sign number 8 is one of the loneliest experiences of being gifted, and it's something many people carry silently for years. Sign number 8 is feeling out of place. Even in groups, you sometimes feel different, like you don't fully belong, like everyone else is speaking a language you only partially understand. You watch people connect easily, laugh at the same jokes, enjoy the same activities, and you feel like you're on the outside looking in. Not because you're antisocial, not because you don't want connection, but because your brain works differently. You think differently, you process differently, and that difference creates a gap that's hard to bridge. Here's what this looks like. You're at a social event. People are talking about surface-level things, small talk, gossip, casual topics, and you try to engage. You really do. But internally, you're bored. You're craving deeper conversation. You want to talk about ideas, about possibilities, about things that matter. But when you try to steer the conversation that way, people look at you like you're being too serious, too intense, too much. So you pull back, you stay quiet, you observe instead of participate. And that sense of isolation grows. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because your mind operates at a depth most people don't reach in casual settings. This feeling of being out of place is incredibly common among gifted individuals, because giftedness often means thinking in ways that don't align with mainstream conversation. It means caring about things others don't prioritize. It means needing intellectual stimulation that most social situations don't provide. And over time, this can make you feel like you're fundamentally different from everyone around you, like you'll never find your people, like you're meant to be alone. But here's the truth. That sense of isolation isn't a flaw in you. It's a sign that your brain works in extraordinary ways. Ways that require a specific kind of connection, a specific kind of conversation, a specific kind of depth. And when you find people who operate at that same level, the connection is profound. So if you've always felt like you don't quite fit in, know this. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're wired differently. And that's not something to fix, that's something to honor. Sign number 9 is what keeps gifted people learning long after formal education ends. It's what drives discovery, what fuels innovation, what makes life endlessly interesting. Sign number 9 is endless curiosity. You never stop asking questions. Never. Why is it like this? What if it were different? What's the truth behind it? How does this work? What happens if I change this variable? Your mind is constantly exploring, constantly probing, constantly searching for deeper understanding. And while people might call it overthinking, it's not. It's your brain's hunger to explore beyond the surface, to understand systems, to uncover truth, to see what's hidden beneath obvious answers. This curiosity shows up in everything you do. You don't just accept information as given. You question it. You test it. You look for evidence. You consider alternative explanations. You dig deeper. And this makes you a critical thinker. Someone who doesn't fall for surface-level explanations. Someone who sees complexity where others see simplicity. Someone who refuses to stop at the first answer. Because for you, the first answer is never enough. There's always another layer, always another question, always another possibility to explore. Here's an example. Someone tells you a fact. Most people hear it and move on. But you immediately start wondering, where did that fact come from? Is it actually true? What's the context? Are there exceptions? What are the implications? Your mind doesn't just receive information, it interrogates it. And while this can be exhausting for people around you who just want simple answers, it's also what makes you a lifelong learner. Someone who never stops growing, never stops discovering, never stops expanding their understanding of the world. So if you've been told you ask too many questions, if you've been called overthinking or told to just accept things as they are, know this. Your endless curiosity isn't a problem. It's one of the most valuable traits of a gifted mind. Because curiosity is what drives progress, what leads to breakthroughs, what transforms knowledge into wisdom. And if you have it, you have something truly rare. Now we come to the final sign. Sign number 10. And this one ties everything together, because it's the trait that allows gifted people to achieve things others think are impossible. Sign number 10 is intense focus. When something truly matters to you, it's all or nothing. You dive in so deeply that time disappears. Hours pass like minutes. The world around you fades. Nothing else exists except the thing you're focused on. This kind of focus can be exhausting. It can make you forget to eat, forget to sleep, forget everything except the task at hand. But it's also what allows you to produce extraordinary work, to solve complex problems, to create things that leave people speechless. This intense focus is what psychologists call flow state. It's when your brain is so fully engaged that everything else shuts down. And while most people experience flow occasionally, gifted people can access it regularly, especially when working on something that challenges them, something that requires their full mental capacity, something that aligns with their interests and abilities. And when you're in that state, you're unstoppable. You process information faster. You solve problems more creatively. You produce work at a level that even surprises you. Because in those moments, you're not just using your intelligence, you're channeling it completely, without distraction, without hesitation, without doubt. But here's the challenge. This intense focus only activates when something truly engages you, when something feels meaningful, when something challenges you at the right level. And that's why gifted people often struggle with tasks that feel mundane or repetitive. Because their brain needs that deep engagement to function at its best. It needs complexity. It needs challenge. It needs purpose. Without those elements, focus becomes almost impossible. But when those elements are present, the focus becomes superhuman. And that's the paradox of being gifted. You can't focus on things that bore you. But when something captures your mind, you can focus better than almost anyone else. So here's the truth. Being gifted rarely feels like a gift. Most of the time, it feels like being too restless, too sensitive, too intense, too different, too much. You struggle with things others find easy. You feel things others brush off. You notice things others ignore. You question things others accept. And because of that, you often wonder if something is wrong with you, if you're broken, if you're just not built for this world. But here's what you need to understand. Those struggles, they're not proof that you're flawed. They're proof that your mind works in extraordinary ways. Ways that don't fit neatly into society's boxes. Ways that challenge the status quo. Ways that see beyond what's obvious. And yes, that makes life harder. But it also makes life richer, deeper, more meaningful. So how many of these signs sound like you? 1, 5, all 10? Drop your number in the comments, because I want you to see that you're not alone. That there are others out there who experience the world the same way you do, who feel the same intensity, who carry the same struggles, who question themselves the same way. And I want you to start recognizing these traits not as flaws but as signs of something extraordinary, because they are. Every single one of them. If you found this video helpful, if it made you see yourself differently, if it validated something you've felt for years, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Because I make videos like this regularly. Videos that explore psychology, personal growth, and the hidden truths about how our minds work. And if this resonated with you, the next one will too. Also, share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who's always felt different. Someone who doubts themselves despite being brilliant. Someone who needs to realize just how gifted they really are. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do for someone is help them see what they can't see in themselves. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.